listening to the Motor Mouth.
Hello.
You guys are the best. Man, you guys are insane, hilarious, and the best stuff I've ever seen.
That's right, Chris and Ray.
Motor Mouth.
Did I win anything? I got through. I can't believe I got through.
Well, I'm glad you guys are around because I didn't even know you existed.
Hey, how are you, Motor Mouth?
This is one of those days, nothing to do, so I figure why not spend it with a couple of nobodies.
Motor Mouth.
You also have my picture up on the webpage.
Boy, you taught me something about that car.
Why must you ask such difficult questions?
Motor Mouth.
I don't know too much about motors.
Do I come running into your show?
We love you guys that have these shows.
Our trained staff of 2 will help.
Is this that jerky car show that I listen to? Oh, you distributed capital. I am the port condenser.
Quite frankly, there are better things to do with your time.
Trying to dial the phone with transmission fluid all over me. So I finally got a chance to listen to you guys streaming. I'm in a good mood. I'm happy.
Yeah, I want to know what the is wrong with my car.
I haven't even called my own mechanic back, but why don't I ask you?
But you guys are pretty special guys.
Motor Mouth.
Must be a motorcycle thing, because I'm not familiar with that.
Yes.
Let's just think right now. Murphy's Law. What's going to go wrong? Is the board going to explode? Is the mic going to drop? Is my phone going to drop? I love live radio. I'm just having some fun with you guys.
There are answers, sometimes correct ones, and we may have them.
Motor Mouth Radio, 90.3 FM, WHPC.
Motor Mouth.
This is Motormouth Radio, your 1-hour automotive talk show. And now, here are your Motormouths, Chris Switzer and Ray Guarino.
Alrighty. Helping automotive professionals that don't really need help for over 13 years. This is Motormouth Radio, your 1-hour automotive talk show. Right here on Long Island, I'm Chris Switzer. And of course, here's a man whose automotive knowledge meets or exceeds the daily amount recommended for listeners provided in 1-hour supplements. You know him as Professor Ray Guarino behind the shop bench. How are you, my brother?
I'm good, Chris. And listen, just because I happen to live in one of the top 10 snobbiest towns as reported by roadsnacks.net on Long Island.
Oh, yes, and roadsnacks.net is definitely a place where you can find perfect knowledge. And
you can.
You can.
That doesn't mean I'm a bad guy. It just means, actually, Garden City, where we broadcast out of, is the number one snobbiest town.
Yes.
So that doesn't make me a bad guy. It just means I happen to live in a good neighborhood.
That's right. So wash your face.
I'll try. Maybe. No, I like to walk around grungy and dirty to let them know that I'm not a snob. You can approach me and talk to me like people do all the time. At car shows, at cruise nights, everywhere we go.
And you don't leave any time for your longtime radio colleague, that's for sure.
If you were online with them, I would bump you up on the line, maybe.
You tell it, get the back of the line, Pinko.
I'll bump you up. Come on, give me a hand here. So anyway.
Yes, we have a full show today, don't we?
We should. If things work as planned, and they don't always work as planned on this show.
That's because we're doing this live.
We should have our good friend and journalist Elana Scherr from Hot Rod Magazine calling in to talk about an article she just recently wrote that revisits the hidden hot rods of New York and Whitestone and other parts. And with us, we have Gasser Steve, our good friend Gasser Steve, who's prominently noted in that article.
Yes. Hi, Steve.
Hey, what's up, guys?
How you doing?
I'm good.
This is it.
Yes. Welcome to it.
Yeah.
This is what it took to get you in here. I invited you in the first day I met you. I know.
You're a wealth of knowledge. You're a wealth of knowledge, and you have great cars to show for it.
Steve is a builder extraordinaire. You know, guys will know Steve by his cars.
Mm-hmm. Right. You said that.
Everybody knows my cars, but they don't know me.
No, and they should get to know you because you're a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
You know, the 63 Tempest, the blue 63 Tempest, and the white 58 Corvette, both gases.
My wife drives the tires off of that Tempest.
Gotta love that.
I can't pry her hands off the steering wheel.
That's great. And it's a good size for her, too, the car, because, you know, she's petite, and the car is kind of slender. It's the Tempest isn't a big car. It's not a Bonneville or anything.
But it looks like an animal.
It sure does.
Yeah, that was a perfect setup to put on a car.
I mean, the nose is pointed in the air. It's got this huge blower coming out of the hood, if the hood is on there at all.
Actually, that one's not blown.
No.
No, it's stacked.
It's carbureted. It's on tunnel ram, yeah.
It's on a tunnel ram. Very rare single one 4-barrel tunnel ram.
Okay.
With a Dominator on top of it.
How does that run at lower? I got so many questions. Like the cam in the engine. I'm talking about low RPM around town drivability with a setup like that.
You could drive that car to California right now, which Elana wanted to do.
Yeah, I believe it.
At that moment that you saw it, probably.
Yeah, she loved it. She says, "I can't believe this is a straight axle car."
Right.
I don't think she's ever driven in a gasser.
Really?
I don't know.
Now, just real fast, the gasser is. Let's just define it very quickly.
Give us a definition, Steve.
Yeah,
Okay.
what is, Steve? Definition of a gasser.
Definition of a gasser. First, you have to have a straight front axle.
Okay.
Okay, it's got to be center of the tire spindle has to be lower than the fender of the car.
The fender or the rocker panel.
The rocker panel.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So ball joint spaces won't cut it.
No, ball joint spaces are very, very dangerous.
Well, I know, but there's a guy in
there's
a guy in the circuit here with a '55 Chevy. He's been campaigning for a few years, and I of course I rolled right under the car to see how he set it up because it was kind of dark, and I see, wait a minute, A-frames. Huh? And they said, yeah, I've been using ball joint spaces.
Wow.
I was like, oh boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were there back in the day.
Yeah, oh, sure they were. They were made of aluminum, and you actually bolted them onto your in between your ball joint and your AM.
That was for the guys who didn't want to fully commit.
Well, when I bought this, my '58 Corvette, it was raised, but not with a straight axle. They used to call them I-beams.
Right.
And everybody thought that the front axle was an I-beam.
Okay.
But it's actually the suspension separates from the whole car with 8 nuts and bolts.
Yeah.
And they used to add these I-beam pieces in between and then bolt it back together.
Right.
And that's how they got the I-beam.
That's how you got the lift.
That's how you got the lift. The definition of the gasser, a straight axle, usually the moon tank in the front.
Mm-hmm. Usually in place of the grill.
In place of the grill.
Or set into the grill.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I just did that last week, as a matter of fact. It's in there now, but it's not in the article in the pictures. Got to have your cheetah slicks on there.
Right.
Yeah.
And the cheetah slicks are those older style slicks.
Pie crust sides, the whole deal.
The pie crust side, I love it.
Which are now remanufactured. A couple companies make them. Our friend Scotty Gosson sent me a link a while ago to a guy in Oregon. Hearst. I think it was Hearst Wheels.
Hearst makes them. Coconut makes them. Mm-hmm. The best ones I've found are Radar.
Radar, yeah. Radar. This guy in Oregon bought the Hearst Wheel Company, not Hearst because that got sold to somebody else, Mr. Gaskin, I think. And he has in his shop the dies, the actual forming dies for the rubber, the same ones that we were using back in the 50s. This guy is making tires today with those same exact forms.
Wow.
Him and his son are doing it. I tried getting him on the show a little while ago, but it was kind of hard to put together because they're just always so busy out there. Yeah. But I'll work on it again.
I read the same article. I read it.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
I'm going to need a set of those tires, so I'm going to have to talk to them sooner or later.
Steve, speaking of articles, how did you end up getting wrapped up with Elana Scherr and her Hot Rod article when she did it out here in Whitestone?
Billy Malba, who...
Billy Velvet.
Billy Velvet, yeah. He's a very busy man.
Yes, he is.
Yes. And he knows a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And he likes people who build cars and drive them.
Right.
You don't want to sit in the garage, and I drive my cars.
Yes, you do.
Mm-hmm. I go to a lot of shows, and all these shows we go to, it's always donations.
Right.
All the money, it's always for foundations, people with breast cancer, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And we are out there with our cars, me and my wife, and we have a good time.
Yes, you do. And you bring a lot of fun to the people at the shows because... your cars attracted me like a fly. The first Malibu show I did, I was right there.
Yep.
In fact, Billy had asked Chris and I, as a stellar radio host that we are, if we could pick a car that we wanted to give an award to, that he could award a plaque to at the show. And the first car I picked was like, that Blue Tempest. I got it already. I'm like, the white Corvette. He goes, no, I got that already. I was like, come on, Billy, you're killing me. The Nova. No, we got that already. I was like, you got all the cars I like. So we had to go out and find something else. I think we found like an old Catalina, that old Caddy or something that was like a bad car.
You defaulted to my choices.
Yeah, pretty much. Because I do kind of override Chris when it comes to things like that.
Okay. That is true.
It's the only time I flex my muscle.
He has in the past. I've capitulated. I've gone, all right. Because I always like to go. It's kind of funny, Steve, in this dichotomy. Ray is the guy that likes to go fast and loud. I'm the guy that likes to go low and slow. So if it's a Caddy Coupe de Ville
which is great
that you can't hear running, that's my car.
You know why that's great? Because guys like me and you and us that do that, we need guys like Chris to tow us when we break down or throw the belt or, or the rod falls out.
He's carrying the tools, right?
Yeah. And the tow rope, yeah.
Right. I was always the guy, the last car in the convoy, because that was the reason why. My trunk was big enough to carry the tools.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm, that's for sure. 516-572-7440 is the phone number if you want to get in a quick call to talk to Gasser Steve before we talk to Elana Scherr from Hot Rod Magazine. So, yeah. That's funny because my claim to fame, Steve, was, and I told Ray this many times, especially in high school and early college, I would pop the hood on my 64 DeVille, and guys would marvel at how low I was able to get the idle on the car. Like, I would get it down to like a 275 or a 325, where you would just see the belts going by, swish, swish.
Yeah.
And guys would be like, wow, you can do that. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's me. I'm master of the adjustment screw right there. Yeah, that's me.
I took a lot of abuse when I first bought that 58 Corvette. It was 30 years ago, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And
so you only owned it a short time.
The Corvette enthusiasts was, oh, you ruined the car.
You ruined the
car.
Yeah.
Why did you do that
I've
to
heard
the car?
that.
Why did you do that?
Uh-huh.
I had to explain. I didn't do nothing to the car. I bought it like this,
Right.
Bought the car like this.
You just perfected it.
Well, the car is not cut at all. No body panels are cut.
Yeah.
The chassis is still there. Everybody, what they do now, to put a big block in the car, you got to take the whole steering column out. Because if you remember those old cars, it goes all the way through the dashboard down to the box.
Sure.
Right.
Okay? So, and they go with the universals.
Yeah, the Borgensons.
Yeah. And that's the only way you get a big block in that car. That's why I've been running small blocks all the time. And I had a blower on the car for years. And I took abuse from that. These guys, oh, you ruined the car, And it was the original white car. It was red when I bought it.
Right.
I took the paint off it, and I found it was original white car.
All right. Do you want to see if we can take a break first, and then we'll come back and hopefully...
Yeah, I don't know if that's...
Let's try it. Let's take a quick break first right here at Motormouth Radio. We have Gasser Steve in the studio. Hopefully we'll be talking to Elana Scherr, future editor of Hot Rod Magazine. I'm Chris Switzer, of course, Ray Guarino behind the shop bench. And the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour, Tractor Owners. That's right.
Christian!
We're out to alienate 99.9% of our audience right away. So if you're a tractor owner, you're part of the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. Keep it where you got it. Gasser Steve in the studio. Elana Scherr is going to be on the phone. A lot more coming your way here at Motormouth Radio.
The Motormouths will be right back with your car questions. Give us a call at 516-572-7440.
WHPC 90.3, the radio voice of Nassau Community College, is looking for individuals, businesses, charities, or organizations in our local global community that would like to donate to support our radio station. Whether you listen locally or online, here's how it works. Go to our webpage at ncc.edu/WHPC and click Donate Now. Or if you prefer, you can send a check to WHPC Radio, 1 Education Drive, Garden City, New York, 11530. Make your check payable to the NCC Foundation. In the memo of your check, write WHPC, Donate Now. Any contribution will help defray our operating costs, and it's tax deductible. This message was brought to you by the radio voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. Streaming online at ncc.edu/WHPC.
Got a car question? Give the Motormouths a call at 516-572-7440.
Hold off on that phone because we're going to go to the phones right now and we're going to say, hi, you're on with the Motormouths.
Hi.
Hey, Elana.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
You sound fantastic. How are you? Elana Scherr, feature editor, Hot Rod Magazine. How are you?
I'm good.
You good?
Still waking up.
Yeah, we are too. Don't worry.
It's a crack of noon over here.
We'll shake off the cobwebs soon enough. Alana, we have we were dying to have this phone call with you. We're so happy that you're gonna talk with us again. And as a little bit of a coup, what I did is unheard of on the East Coast. Was able to do something that was like it's going to get me the Pulsnitzer Prize.
What, you found good tacos?
No, well, yeah. No, we got Gasser Steve in the studio with us today.
Steve, hi.
Hi, Elana. How are you?
I'm missing your car, Steve. I want another longer ride.
I know. I think you were ready to take that right back to California with you.
I was going to take your cat, too. Have you guys met Steve's cat? He's like a person.
No, but I have 3 of them at home, and they're all little people in their own way. They're all nuts.
Why is that, Elana? Why is Steve's cat so human-like?
Well, first of all, he has a lot of extra toes. It's a he, right, Steve?
Yes, it's he, and his name is Trouble, and he's always in trouble. He's got hands that he can actually use like a thumb, and he can pick up things.
I had a cat years ago that I adopted. He adopted us when we lived in Queens, and he had that extra thumb, and it was the coolest thing I ever saw.
Holy smokes, that's so funny.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, I'm pretty sure Steve's cat can drive a car.
It's only if it's got a straight axle in it.
So, Elana, how did you end up meeting Steve? Well, I'm sure it was through the car, but how did that transpire?
Well, it was through Bill, of course.
Of course.
Bill knows everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Billy knows everybody.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
So, when I did the first trip where I met you guys, that went so well. I was out there. This is I was out there in the spring. I mean, it was still kind of cold, and I was out there for the New York Auto Show, and after a day of looking at new cars, I was pretty bored, so I called Billy, and he said, "Hey, you got anybody else you want me to meet?" And he said, "Yeah, sure. I think I can rustle some stuff up." And then, the next thing I know, we had this jam-packed day full of Gassers and Corvettes. And
you were in a
Charger
hurry that
500s.
day.
Yeah, and you got to go to the UD, which we affectionately call the undisclosed location, the garage. But so Elana, this article that you just wrote, I know it's an adjunct to the article you wrote the first time, and then the piece that appeared in Hot Rod magazine. And this is online. It's how you can see the secret muscle cars of New York City. Please talk about that a little. Tell people how they can find it, access it, and what they can expect to find.
Well, to find the story, they can just go to hotrod.com and scroll down a little bit. I think it's still there on the first page, and it is called "How to See the Secret Muscle Cars of New York City." It's got a nice picture of Steve's Pontiac on the lead photo, and then you guys already know this. I'm sure you've already talked about it. The way that I think everybody can go see these cars, unless they're friends with Bill and Steve, is to go to Yacho's car show, the Fall Classic at the Malbo Waterfront.
Oh, absolutely. But, we were just talking before you called how Steve and his wife, Tracy, they take these cars out. I mean, I see them locally at local cruise nights. In fact, I'm bumping elbows with him in Belmore. The next thing you know, he turns around, he bumps into me in Whitestone. He's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" I'm like, "What are you doing here?"
When we shared that story on the Hot Rod Facebook page, somebody local to you guys had said that he had seen him before and had a photo, I think, of the white Corvette, just parked somewhere at a car show. So
I get that all the time wherever I go. I've seen you here, I've seen you there. You really drive these cars? I said, yes, I built them to drive them. Mm-hmm. And
you ought to use my mom's joke, because when I was a kid, we had a 68 Chevy 4-door Impala, and it was pretty distinctive, not in a good way. And she said, every once in a while people would come up and be like, "Hey, I saw you, at the grocery store or whatever." And she'd be like, "How did you know it was me? Did you memorize the license plate number?"
Yeah, with Steve's cars, it's not quite that hard to know that you've seen them before.
Right.
Hey, Elana, how many? Not how many, because you're not going to know the exact number. But what's the chances of running into a gasser on the streets of California where you're at?
I saw there's a 55 that somebody built that's near our office that I've seen a couple of times. I think doing test runs maybe.
Okay.
And there's usually at least one if you go to a car cruise like the Bob's Big Boy Cruise or something. They're around, but not in huge numbers.
Wow. Okay.
There aren't like
it looks like it's
roaming
coming back.
herds of them the way that there once was. They're like the buffalo.
Yeah.
You have to go to Yellowstone to see them.
Right. You have to go to their natural habitat, which is Bob's Big Boy.
Yeah, I tell you, I've always liked that genre. I mean, since I'm a kid, I told Steve a story yesterday about how I was traumatized by a 55 that was nose high when I was a little tyke, and I think that's what stuck with me. But once you see it, it's one of those fads where you either love it or you hate it. You know, like a lowrider and like many of the other trends that come through in the automotive world. And like Steve said, he thinks it's making a resurgence, and I think so too, but I want to see how it's done, if people are going to do it the right way or try and fake it and kind of, muck the whole thing up. I don't know.
If you're going to build a gasser, you've got to build it safe, and you've got to do everything right. You've got to double-check all your measurements. Everything's got to be right. Your angles, your everything, and your brakes, whatever. You cannot make a mistake because you're out there driving in traffic.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah.
Elana, any chance
I was really impressed with Steve's car. It drove so nicely. When we do Drag Week, there's sort of a hot rod gasser class at the Hot Rod Drag Week race, which is coming up in September. Everybody should watch that on the live feed on YouTube. But and so there's a couple guys who run gassers, and they have to drive on the street. For those of you who don't know what Drag Week is, it's like a 5-day race, 5 different drag strips, like a couple different states, and everybody has to drive their race car from track to track, no trailers or anything like that. And there's some guys who do it in gassers, and I mean you can really tell who's put the time in to make a car that still drives straight and stops, and who's white knuckling it the whole way.
On that track, I just want to get in a little bit about. I did have some people, do a lot of work for me and with me, because you can't build a car like this by yourself. You've got to have another set of eyes. You've got to take down all your dimensions, and one guy's got to be on top, one guy's got to be on bottom. Because if you don't put it right, it's not going to drive straight.
Yeah.
And I got to mention a couple of guys that you was in such a rush when I met you last month or whatever it was, 2 months ago, and I didn't get a chance to mention Hollis. And I just want to give him a big thanks for all his help that he's given me.
Yeah, Hollis actually helped you with the setup on the axle, and he's a body man, correct?
He is. He's one of the best body men I've ever seen. He's painted a couple of cars for me. He's a very talented guy. Shy. I don't think he'd ever come on the show with you, Ray.
Yeah, I didn't think you would either, Steve. But Elana, just Lord,
Well, we're going to have to visit his place next time I'm out there.
He doesn't have a car.
He's got to be working on something good, though.
No, he doesn't have a hot rod right now. He has something that he uses back. He works at a body shop, and he would help me on just about every Sunday. He would come over, and we'd drink our beer in the garage and do what we got to do. And I have a beautiful heater in the garage. Sometimes in the winter, we'd come out of the garage, we'd find 10 inches of snow on the ground.
And you went in like April.
Wow. And you were in a rush. That's what I wanted to get in today, okay?
Well, while we're talking about other people who helped, who's the big shaft? Who helped with the drive shaft in that car?
Oh.
The big shaft.
The big shaft. Vic is one of the special guys I've met very recently, and we've become friends. Mm-hmm. He built my drive shaft 7 years ago for that car.
Wow.
And he remembered me because this is the Pontiac Tempest, right?
Right.
He says, I said to him, I says, how come did you know that? He says, well, you told me when you got this thing done 7 years ago.
Yes, but Steve, did Vic autograph his shaft? I'm the only one that can ask you this now, so help me here.
Oh, God.
I think we'll take that as a no.
That's a no.
And, Elana, I have to tell you how I don't know what it's like on the West Coast. I've never lived there. But out here on the East Coast, especially this part where we are, guys kind of form these bonds, and, it's unsaid brotherhood and bonds. And at this point, Vic has the ability. There's a cruise night in Belmore that's quite big, and Vic's friend owns a shop, and there's a little parking lot there that is pretty much closed. But Vic has the ability to let people in that lot, and Steve is always in there. He always lets Steve in, and I'll drive by, and Vic will call me like, "Hey, you want to park?" All right, yeah. I'll either give him a yes or a no, and if it's a yes, he moves men, machine, and buildings to let me get my car in there.
Sure does.
And that's the kind of sway that he holds over the cruise night, which is because that he just totally works with that bond, and
he has such knowledge.
But
too,
so what
any
happens if you make him mad? You have to park on the other end of the lot.
You'd have to.
I think you got to move.
Yeah, you'd have to move out of state.
Yeah.
You better live in Tucson, because Vic is one of those guys. He's got a very thick skin.
Yeah.
But it's more of a. I think you have more of a chance of ticking him off without saying a word than you would if you said anything, because he can read people very well. Vic is just like that. He has that. The car guy ESP, we call it.
That's for sure. So when is the next time you're going to be back in town, Elana?
I don't know. Nothing immediately planned, but we don't really do plans like at Hot Rod. It's sort of like a week ahead is as far ahead as I can tell you what we're doing. But I know there's stuff out there. I'm trying to just go go as many places as possible and find all the hot rodders everywhere. I want to go to Cuba. I'm trying to figure out a way to go to Cuba.
Yeah. Oh, there's cars there, yeah.
I tell you, we can get into that show, Cuban Chrome. I've talked about it on this show in the past, and something ticked me off this week. I know they don't have a lot of stuff, and they work with what they have, especially tools. But when the guy's got the small block Chevy assembled, sitting up on the crank, with the water pump side facing up, and they're trying to see if the motor turns, and he has a pipe wrench on the snout of the crankshaft. I want to take that pipe wrench and lock it onto something else and turn it a few times and tell him, "No, you idiot!" Like, are they ever going to get an oil seal? I don't know.
Television though.
Yeah. That's television.
The magic of television. That's for sure.
You go to commercial, everything's done.
They probably have like all the proper tools, and the direct producer of the TV shows like, can you maybe do that with more zip ties? Yeah,
or like with a plumbing tool. Yeah.
See, that's the stuff that I'd want to listen to and soak up. Tell me all the things you can do with a zip tie automotively. I'm there. I want to know.
I did. I recently learned how to say zip ties in Spanish because I went on I did a vintage off-road race in Baja, Mexico a couple months ago. So cinchos de plástico. It's useful.
Cinchos de plástico. Nice.
Cinchos de plástico.
That makes sense.
Yes, whenever I need a zip tie in somewhere.
I like it when the other language, when the words, you can understand it, like cincho, as you cinch something tight, de plástico, plastic. So it's a cinch of plastic. This is a zip tie.
Okay.
Well, we're all Latin-based languages, so it's easy, right?
Very true.
Go back to my grade school days when we had Latin. Oh God, please no, let's not do that, because
you've also
that's a bad flashback.
A good supply of bungee cords.
Right.
Bungee, not the rubber ones.
No.
Because I see them on the road all the time.
Yeah,
those are terrible.
The cloth ones, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what else are you guys doing? How's summer been for you?
Absolutely gorgeous for me. I've really been enjoying my summer.
Hey, Elana, I got to ask you a question. Have you noticed, and this is something that I've noticed on the road recently. I'm on the road this morning. I'm coming in. There's a 1970 Stage 1 Buick that's in front of me, and I had to catch up and take a look at it. And when I caught up and took a look at it, there was like this little old guy driving it with like a red hat. It's almost like to the point where it's turned into, like, always knew the required old person car on the road was always like a green Plymouth or something like that, or a guy had like a fedora or a trilby type of hat. Now it seems that this new swing has been of old people driving old cars, or old muscle cars.
Well, yeah,
Have you noticed this? I was shaking my head. I'm like, I was going to give the guy a thumbs up. I didn't think he would see me. His glasses were so
I don't want to hurt your feelings, guys. But
we're old. I know.
We are sort of, like the kids of the muscle car era are no longer
50 years old.
Young folks.
Right. No,
So
Elana,
much.
you're right. You don't sugarcoat it. I've talked about that all the time. Growing up in this hobby, you know, as when you were like in your teens, the guy who was 25 was like the older guy, and the guy who was 30 really had some sway. And then when you were in your 20s, the guys in their 40s were like the guys you looked up to. Then when you got to be in the late 20s and 30s, if a guy was 50 and still doing this stuff, he was the boss. And I waited so hard to get to that point to be the elder statesman. And I'm almost 60 years old. And there's guys like Steve who are older than me, and they're still out there doing more than I am. I can't catch a break.
All right, I
Thanks,
have a
Ray.
story to beat
Thank
you on
you.
that
You're
exact topic. All right, you ready for this?
Go ahead. Yes, go on.
So my coworker Brandon and I, you've talked to Brandon before, Pontiac Bonding, good guy. He and I recently had a Hellcat Charger for 5 days, and we had a goal to hit 5 drag strips in 5 days. 2 different states, 2,000 miles, drove each day, found a new drag strip, raced it. We felt so awesome. We got back here. We were exhausted. We'd done it. We felt like we were like barnstormers, like we were like McEwen and Prudhomme. We were like, nobody's cooler than us. And for another story, I had dinner with TV Tommy Ivo, who lives locally.
Right.
And I was telling him that we had just done this, and he's like, oh, yeah, that's a lot like what I used to do. I think the most I ever did was eight drag strips in 1 week. And I was like, oh!
Yeah. And that wasn't in a car he could turn the key and drive home in.
No,
Right.
it was towing a car.
Right.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah. And it kind of makes you feel, you know what? It's good to feel small in the hobby because it prevents an inflated sense of ego. For all of us. And I'm not saying that you have that, because you certainly don't. But I think it's good for us to always feel small, because it lets us know our place.
Humble.
Well, if you're gonna lose to the best, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Alana, I got a question for you. How did you get involved in cars? What was your first car?
Excellent. Good question.
My first car was a '73 Plymouth Duster.
Okay, that was still good back then, 73.
And it wasn't that long ago. I didn't learn how to drive until I was 21. I was already out of my folks' house, and
was it a
my neighbor had
340
to
or
teach
360? What was the engine, 360?
It was a 318 when I bought it.
Okay.
318 2-barrel, and then it went through some mutations, and by the time I sold it, it was a 360 4-barrel.
Nice, yeah. They were nice cars.
Yeah, it was cute. I like the A-bodies. I know some people are really into them. I don't think that I would buy another Duster. Not that I don't like it, just I guess I like my cars either bigger or smaller than that.
None of them around.
I've never really been into that size. I didn't like darts and stuff. I like them. I like other people's, but I don't have a desire to own one.
And they are kind of making a resurgence. The A's.
Yeah, but you don't see many Dusters
I
at all.
know.
To find a real 340 Duster.
Yeah,
it's hard. I mean, this guy that I knew when I was younger, he had actually a 6-pack on it from the factory, a 340 6-pack 4-speed.
Sure.
And he didn't want to race it. And this was a story I was telling you before. We used to race in Brooklyn on Fountain Avenue, and there was railroad tracks on one side and a cemetery on the other side. And he gave me the keys. I raced a Roadrunner. He beat me. And at the end was a cop car parked right there with his bubblegum machine on the top. So now I'm telling you how old I am, okay? And I didn't have a wallet with me, nothing. And the guy comes running down who owns the car. And it turned out to be the cops said, break it up, guys, that's it. And that's the way we used to race years ago.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Elana, we're going to take a quick break, but can we bring you back on?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
Hold tight.
All right.
Have another cup of coffee, quick.
Hold right up.
Yeah, I'm working on it.
All right. Go get another cup of coffee. We have Elana Scherr on the phone with us, feature editor from Hot Rod Magazine, with us telling stories, sharing stories, along with Gasser Steve. He's in the studio with us. Ray Guarino. I'm Chris Switzer. Got a lot more of Motormouth Radio. And you can check us out on vaughnlive.tv/Motormouth Radio. We're live. You can see which finger I'm holding up. And, of course, iHeartRadio, Performance Motorsports Network, whole slew of places you can find Motormouth Radio, especially on motormouthradio.com. Keep it where you got it. Got a lot more heading your way.
We'll be back with answers to your car questions. Give us a call at 516-572-7440. Oh, I should have said the motor mouth thing.
Inspired by Daft Punk, Technologic showcases a wide variety of electronic music, ranging from artists such as Deadmau5 and Armin van Buuren to LCD Sound System, Kraftwerk, and everything in between, offering you a unique blend of music every week, along with concert updates and more. Get in the mix with yours truly, Erica Z, Saturdays and Tuesdays at 11 p.m. only on 90.3 FM WHPC, the radio voice of Nassau Community College.
Have a question about your car or someone else's car? Then give the Motor Mouths a call, 516-572-7440.
We're back. We're bad, you lucky dogs. This is Motor Mouth Radio, your 1-hour automotive talk show. Elana Scherr is on the line with us, feature editor from Hot Rod Magazine. Gasser Steve is in the studio. Ray Guarino. I'm Chris Switzer. And we're talking shop and talking stuff. Yes.
Elana, I have a question for you.
Okay.
After I went through, I think, each and every of the 284 pictures that you posted on that Hot Rod article about the car's muscle from New York, all of which stuff I've seen before, but I still have to look at it again. I noticed a nice little red Opel snuck into the end spot there. How the hell did that happen?
I saw it on the way to Steve's house, I think. I think it's around the corner from you, Steve.
Yeah, I saw the car, yeah.
Bill was driving. I just grabbed that shot out the window. I didn't even make him stop or anything. I always see an Opel. I can always find an Opel.
I have to tell you, Elana, I think of you almost every day because one of the things I do is I watch two episodes of Adam 12 every day. And I tell you something, there's always an Opel in the background shot. It's like, I guess, it was a California thing. There was always this. So how's your car? Tell us about your project.
Let's see, what was most recent on the Opel? Torque Tube.
Ooh.
Torque Tube Adventures. Never had a car with a torque tube before.
Describe for us what a torque tube is exactly so people will know.
Well, it's sort of an alternate driveline configuration.
Kind of like Steve's Tempest used to have.
Yeah.
They used to call them, they used to call them rope drives also.
Right.
And it would be attached to the back of the engine. I had an Opel myself, a 70 station wagon, and I drove the wheels off that. It didn't leave me nowhere. Nice. It was such a good car. It just rotted away, though.
Wow.
Yeah. It seems to be the fate of many Opels. But, so I think like most muscle cars have, I think they call it a Hotchkiss drive, what we consider drive shaft.
Yeah.
Big, fat drive shaft that's usually hollow and U-joints and that kind of thing. And the torque tube is like a small solid shaft inside of a hollow tube and the hollow tube doesn't spin. The Opel has a sort of rubber isolating donut at the back where it meets up to the rear end. And
Elana, give the cat some treats because the cat's hungry.
Oh, you can hear her?
Yeah, I hear her. Give her some treats. I mean, that's my job. I walk through the kitchen, and my one cat's on the corner of the table and just stretching towards the cabinet where the treats are, and he's telling me, hey, give me something. I got to pay a tribute every time I go... Yeah.
She's already been fed. She's lying.
So what? So am I. I can feed this cat, and 3 seconds later, he's meowing. It's like, give me my tribute. He wants a vig on his lunch. I'm like, geez.
I just threw the dogs outside because they were being loud, and the cat snuck in. So I just can't. But
all right. So to get back to the Opel, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So anyway, so the Opel was clunking because this donut was all worn out, so we replaced it. And then when we tightened everything back up, then I had a drive shaft vibration, which was super irritating, right? Because you're like, I just fixed it, and now it's worse. So, but anyway, we just sort of loosened everything and bounced it around and rolled it up back and forth and then tightened it back up again. I think it was just, kind of, no pun intended, torqued.
Yeah. Excellent diagnostic technique, by the way.
Yeah.
Yes.
What year Opel was it?
It's a 71 GT.
71 GT. It had the big motor in it? Because they had two motors.
They did. They had the 1.1 liter, which is basically a soda bottle,
right.
And then they had the 1.9 liter. And this was the 1.9 liter. And then later, Opel, later Opels have a different head, and they had a 2-liter.
Uh-huh.
And you can actually retrofit the 1.9 to take the 2-liter head. So that's what we did when I first rebuilt this engine. So it's a 2-liter now.
You know, isn't it amazing what we do even with our commuter cars? I mean, you took a 1.9 and modded it to a 2. Now, on my Fiat, I have a Fiat Spider that has a 2-liter engine, but what I did the hot rod trick and got an earlier 1800cc intake manifold because it's an open plenum design, and ported that thing and put that over the Weber carburetor just to get like another, half of a tenth of a something. I don't,
Well, yes, it is true. In fact, I think I once wrote a column about, sort of the math that you tell yourself about like how to make it financially viable for the decisions you're making. But, like you're just like, well, I could just replace this and that would be $500. But
right.
For $2,000, I could have like 20 more horsepower.
Yeah. I could have that one more cube.
Yeah.
But actually, if anyone out there is listening with a 1.9 liter Opel GT, the 2-liter is totally worth it because it went from, I forgot what it is, stock 95 horsepower or something to probably about 110, 115, and that's noticeable. I mean, that's sort of the difference between terror on every freeway ramp to just sort of disrespect.
It's true, because I know with my own car again, the latest thing I had done, now it's about a year or two ago, I finally found a regular tube header for the car and put the tube header on with an open, unrestricted exhaust, and wow, it just opened it up on the highway. It really did. I mean, it's just a hot rod, the basic hot rod stuff. You do exhaust, cam, carb, and you can feel it. You can feel it under restriction.
And Elana, I've seen the car. There was a picture of your Opel on a track. You were wheeling this thing around a track by you?
Yeah, I went to a VAR, a track day. That do they have that all the way up across the country? I don't know. It's the Vintage Automobile Racing Association. I think it's national. Yeah. Anyway,
doesn't come here to New York. They know better.
Well, it's a great group of people. Like, because a lot of times you go to a track day and maybe it's like a BMW track day or, real big high-powered cars and everybody is pretty serious. But the Vara guys are serious too. I mean, they race, but they're so understanding, right? Because they all have vintage cars, so it's like everything's in the pits leaking oil and nobody cares because they're like, of course it's going to leak oil. Look, this vintage Alpha, yeah. Sure. You just put more oil in it before you go back out on track. Like,
Elana, it must be hard getting parts for that car, huh?
You would think so, but no. There's a place called Opel GT Source in Northern California. It's run by a guy named Gil Wesson.
Okay.
And that guy is like, I love that guy. He has everything. You can get absolutely everything for the car, except for some window trim. There's like one piece of window trim, which is like the most expensive thing to replace on an Opel GT.
These are new parts or used parts?
Both.
Oh, nice.
I mean, he's been great. Like, I'll call him and be like, my window regulator is broken. The like stupid cable came all frayed, and he's like, okay, well, I can you could send yours back and we can try and rewind it for you, or I could send you like this part, or I can send you that part. Like, what do you want?
I mean, Novas and Chevelles, you could get anything you want. You can get everything right down. You build a whole car.
Sure.
And, there's no more Opels left. They're all in some junkyards. And this guy in Northern California has probably got them all.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and like the thing is that it's also cheap too, because I'm used to Mopar stuff, and Mopar stuff is crazy expensive.
Yes.
And I don't know if the Opel guys are cheap or what he's used to, but I called up once. I needed to make a key. I only had one key, and my darling friend Corey broke it off in my ignition. But so I had to make keys, and so I called to get the key blanks. They're very like Opel specific. You can't like find them anywhere else. And he's like, well, there's 2 different kinds. Can you figure out which one you need? And, and then call me back. And I was like, how much are they? And he's like, $3. Like, just send me 2 of each.
Yeah. Right. I'll deal with it.
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. I'll have some.
Well, you probably wiped out his whole collection there, 2 of each.
I was going to say, it's supply and demand, Elana, because how many other people are handling Opels right about now? So this guy's probably waiting for your call. He's sitting there going, when's she going to call again?
And just like...
No, I think he's very busy. I've called before and got a busy signal. No,
Wow.
It's a ruse.
Well, he has to order lunch.
There are secretly Opels everywhere, but they're so tiny you can't see them.
Yeah, they're hiding.
And it's just like Steve just said with the Novas and Chevelles, how you could build a car out of a catalog. For my own car, my Pontiac, among all the many multitudes of parts I bought through Ames, I bought brand new key blanks. You know, the GM, the Octagon key blanks. It's like, that was easy. Boy, like $1.75 a piece. Like, sure, send me a bag of them. Yeah. I want to make extra.
Get back to my Tempest. You can't buy any parts for the Tempest.
That's a tough one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There's nothing for the Tempest. They have a Ames company. They do only Pontiac. Ames, yeah.
Right.
And they have a small catalog with like 10 pages in it.
Yeah.
And they make certain parts, but
that's about it. Yeah.
That's,
Again, supply and demand.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, and then you have with Pontiac, it's weird because it's like there's some crossover, right, with other GM, but not everything.
Yeah,
so
chassis
you got to
stuff.
kind of know, and like things like axles and stuff are different depending on the year.
Yeah, those.
I know Brandon's told me about some of his.
The Pontiac rear end, yeah.
The 61 and 63 cars with the independent rear suspension were garbage.
Yeah,
it had and actually the movie My Cousin Vinny.
Right.
When what's her name? The actress, she gets on the stand.
Oh,
yeah,
Alyssa Milano.
Not Alyssa Milano.
No, right.
Oh, gosh, just popped out of my head.
Come on.
Okay.
She gets that tire guy, and she rips him apart, man.
But she's
About the
right.
IRS.
But she was right.
She was right.
She was right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Elana, we're going to take another quick break. Can you hold on?
Sure.
All righty. Let's
Go feed that cat.
Yes, go. Another cup of coffee.
Or else I will.
Go feed the cat.
I'm going to come over with a bag of treats, damn it.
Let the dog back in.
Looking at me.
Elana Scherr is on the phone with us, feature editor from Hot Rod Magazine. Gasser Steve is in the studio trying to figure out how to make Elana's Opel into a gasser. You can see him. He's working on it there.
Yeah, I can do that.
Ray Guarino behind the shop bench. I'm Chris Switzer, and of course the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. Yeah, you weren't going to figure this one out. Tractor owners. That's right. We just basically isolate everybody. Miss one. So just give yourself one clap because you're probably the only one. That's the Motormouth Radio Honor Group of the Hour. Keep it where you got it because we have a lot more of this silly stuff coming right at you, so hold on.
The Motormouths will be right back with your car questions. Give us a call at 516-572-7440.
Bill Horan presents Secrets of Success, the show designed to help listeners uncover their hidden talents to maximize success. Listen to Secrets of Success Wednesdays at 4 p.m. and Sundays at 7:30 a.m. on 90.3 FM WHPC, the voice of Nassau Community College. Streaming at ncc.edu/WHPC.
Excuse me.
Motormouth Radio.
All righty. Welcome back to Motormouth Radio. We are not taking those calls because we have on the line Elana Scherr, the feature editor of Hot Rod Magazine. Gasser Steve is in the studio. We're figuring out how Steve has already got the jacks out. He's going to jack up the Opel.
Not only that, but Joe D to the rescue. Like I just told Steve, people who can't get through because we only have one phone line will text me, and Joe, he reiterated, Marissa Tomei was Lisa Vito.
Yes, Marissa Tomei.
Thank you, Joe D, for having our back because you know how we brain fart.
Great movie.
Yes,
right. Joe D is our man in the clouds, our technical advisor that we love so much that we keep with us, and he keeps. It's funny. We keep him, but he basically keeps us.
He does keep us.
Yes, that's for sure.
But a Gasser Opel. Now I'm intrigued. You would have to shorten the axle, but if you do, you change the tensile strength. So how the hell would you do that?
You'd have to build a chassis for the car first of all because it's a unibody car.
Right. So you're going to do.
You've got to put some rails in it.
Yeah.
So you can hang some springs on them.
Okay.
Elana, you taking notes?
Yeah. Well, I have I have a lot of inspirational sort of big block Gasser Opel drag car photos
I'm sure.
around my desk at work because we have the archives, the
Oh,
Peterson
the Peterson
Archives.
Yeah.
And so I can go back into look at all the photos from the old drag races, and they looked like very squirrely machines.
Oh yeah.
There's some pretty famous photos of.
What were some of the cars'
names?
Opels
with big blowers, like crashing into the tree and stuff. Sorry.
Yeah. What was some of the names? Do you remember some of the cars by what they were called?
There was one called, like, they always had like Lil, like LIL in them,
right?
Because they were little. Little Brute, I think, was
Little
one.
Brute, okay.
And hold on, there was another one, a pretty famous one that we were just talking about.
Because it's like an Anglia or like a Topolino. Those cars are so small, you put a huge motor in them, or like guys did Chevettes. Yeah, it was.
The wheelbase was so small
and narrow too.
Yeah.
There was a Wayne County speed shop, B-gasser, Sullivan and Hutchins.
Mm-hmm. That actually sounds familiar.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty famous. There was a gum out car.
Oh wow, cool. Was the Sullivan and Hutchins car blue?
No, but I think there was a blue one.
All right.
Or maybe it was blue earlier. And then there were a couple of sort of red ones. I'm looking at a picture of one right now. I think it's called Cape Speed.
Okay.
It's nice. I can see it's got trumpets.
Yeah. So that was an injected car.
Let me change it for a minute. Alana, I know you're a little younger than us. You remember when we used to put names on our cars?
Yeah, we go.
You mean like for show cars? Or for
show cars.
Or street cars, too. Even street cars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember talking to somebody, I thought that was the last time I was out there, big block Nova or Chevelle, black car. Everybody was, it was real famous, and they lettered it all up.
Right.
Out by you guys. That's a connecting highway car.
Yeah, connecting highways
right.
is what I was just going to say. I'm thinking about putting the name on my Tempest. I'm going,
oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to Dead Man's Curve show, which is an absolutely great show in New Jersey, Mahwah. And a lot of gases and a lot of rat rods. And these guys have names on their cars. And there's guys, pinstripers there, who do it right there for you.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
So you got a lot of people
So what are you
watching.
going to name it?
That's a secret.
No. I can't give that away.
Steve swore me to secrecy. It was going to be like he was going to stick like metal shards under my toenails. So
I didn't realize this was big stuff, Elana. Yeah. I didn't realize naming a car was such a priority.
Well, and I shared with Steve that I have a name for my Pontiac as well that I want to put on the back and put on the deck lid. And again, just kind of keeping that old.
Yeah, but you can't say it on the radio.
No. Well, I probably could, but I might not be here next week. Whatever, yeah.
Elana, speaking of which, when you drive that Opel, do you ever get, what kind of responses do you get when you drive that car?
It's funny. Every car that I have has like a different group that responds to it. When I drive the 70 Challenger, which I haven't for a while because it's getting an engine built for it. For some reason, that was homeless people were really into that car.
Oh wow!
they always. In fact, it was a little discouraging because they would come up and they would know exactly what it was and have a story about the Dodge muscle car that they had when they were younger. And I'm like, is this a path I'm on?
Right, exactly. Unless you find them sleeping in the back of it or something.
Yeah, and then with the Polara, women really like it. Cars with four middle-aged women will be like, that car is great. I don't know, it looks comfortable or something.
Can you say that one more time, please? Because that was cool. Oh, okay. Listen, well, let me interject. Joe D just texted me and asked, we're talking about names of cars like nicknames. Guys out here, a lot of guys here have, Steve has a nickname. Steve calls me Radio Ray.
Oh, okay.
Because it fits. So is that a California thing, too? Do guys and girls get nicknames based around there?
Not like you guys do, no.
Okay.
I love that about being out there, but I think it's because out there, you guys are all named Steve or Bill or Ray. I think I said something about it in the New York story. It was I met 3 Bills that day.
Yeah, you did.
Have a nickname, right?
Yeah, we have no imagination at all when it comes down to names. That's for sure.
Every once in a while, somebody out here will have if it works, like Duster Dave or something like that.
Right,
but
right.
Most of the time,
I don't remember the names, but I remember their cars. And everybody will, oh, yeah, I know him, but I don't know what his name is.
Well, that's what Joe always says. Joe, I'll mention someone when I was telling Joe that I met you, and like, oh, yeah, that's not, is it like a Hot Rod Harry, or was it, Willie's Willie? It's like, no, it was Gas of Steve. But, he didn't know you by the name. He goes, what car does he drive? And I told him, yeah,
it's true. Alana, before the show, I turn to Steve, and it's always like a requirement. How should I introduce you? And Steve is like, Gas or Steve is fine. Everybody knows my cars, not me. I'm like, okay, not a problem.
Yeah, at a car show, if you don't get my attention within 5 seconds, I'm gone. Because, I'll have my 58 there, and the guy will say, what is that, a 63? And I am done.
Yeah.
I mean, I can give a year or two, but, if you're not even in the right,
I'm sure, you get a lot of that with the Opel, right, Elana?
Oh, man.
It's a Corvette that's cut off.
Yeah. Sometimes people think it's a Corvette. Brandon and I have a new game, which we haven't been brave enough to try yet at a show, but we want to just see how long we can go through a show mispronouncing every single car name.
Oh, cool. I like that.
Like, oh, wow, look at this.
Oh, boy.
Just to see how many people correct you.
I don't think you'd make too many friends.
What a nice Chevrolet this is.
Yeah. Well, how long have you had that Plymouth?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What is that, a Satellite? Beautiful.
So, what do you do with a Caliente, though? You have to make it you can't how do you de-emphasize Caliente? I don't know.
I'd have to, you could always soften the C or something. Sometimes they're hard. That would be the trick of it, to see how quickly you can do it.
Right.
That's a New York thing. I tell you, that's something that we do out here. You got to see Chris and I at a car show.
Oh, boy.
Behind the scenes, we are cutting on everything and everybody.
I've actually really sort of mellowed out on my car-related meanness. Partially because meeting so many people and realizing that no matter what the car is, somebody loves it.
Right.
Has made it much less fun for me to make fun of cars. Every once in a while, I'll still make fun. Do you guys have the guys who do the like stance extreme camber thing out there?
Oh yeah. We were just talking about that with the LTC
I still
guys.
make fun of that because it's a terrible idea.
It is.
And
it's ridiculous.
Stupid. Yeah. But almost everything else, I'm just like, that's cool. That's what you want to do. You worked hard on it. Like, I'm good with that.
I'm with you, and we're all about, of course, muscle cars, and I love having a car that's period built. I kind of like that a lot, but I draw the line when I see a guy with a Roadrunner that's still running like the shock extenders and the shackle extenders in the back. Like, you know what? That did die in '76. So like,
well, especially on like a leaf spring, Chrysler car where it doesn't even do anything.
Exactly.
Or if you have the dust collector displayed proudly on the air cleaner that's spinning around.
The guys will put a model of their car,
Yeah, we like that a lot.
I want to take a stickball bat to it and see if I can launch it like for second, for like a two-bagger.
Well, I really dislike like when everything is color keyed. Not like I like color keyed wheels, but like when people like match up like all their spark plug wires.
The wire loom.
Like pop the hood and like everything has like the same color.
Well, hold on. Now let me ask you though, because I kind of did that in my own car. Steve has seen it, but the idea with the color key is black.
That doesn't count. Black is not. No. I'm talking about like when.
Oh, so you're a black.
Somebody's got like a Sublime.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, the
body
pink
or something,
wire
and then they've got like they've just like decided everything in the engine bay is yellow.
Like that relay would be really cool in pink. So let's paint it. Yeah. No.
Elana, we are running up to the top of the hour. I wish we weren't, but we certainly are. And we want to thank you so much. This was really great to talk to you.
Well, thank you guys for having me on. I always appreciate it. I like hearing what you guys are doing and, bringing the East and West together, right?
That's what I like about it. And Elana, you're always welcome on this show. I know I pester you from time to time because I know you're busy. So, but if something ever comes up in your world and you want to get it out on the air and you want to explore, just drop us a note. You know how to get in touch with us, and we will make time for you anytime.
Yeah. Well, you guys, Yeah, look up Drag Week, because that's in a couple of weeks, and it is going to be a really good show.
You got it.
Sounds great.
When you're back in New York, Elana, you go with my wife, Tracy, and you get in that Tempest, and you guys go for a ride, and you have some fun.
Yeah.
No, we're going to get in the Corvette, and she's going to learn how to drive stick.
Oh, boy.
I don't know about with that clutch. That's a tough one.
Sounds good.
Okay, Elana.
Hopefully that'll get you back sooner, Elana.
Take care. Say hi to the
Thanks,
cat for me. Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Elana Scherr, the feature editor of Hot Rod Magazine. Oh, so glad to talk to her. It's wonderful. Good conversation. If you missed any of it, you can check it out on motormouthradio.com later on this evening. Gasser Steve! Thank you so much.
You did it, man. You did it.
Thanks,
guys.
Woo!
Now the next time will be easy, you see? And you know how to get here, too.
Right. For Ray Guarino, I'm Chris Switzer. This is Motormouth Radio. We'll talk on Sunday.
With Steve Linden.
That's right. Steve Linden in on Sunday. And always remember, don't follow us home. See ya.
Bye.
From a town near Oyster Bay, Long Island, comes the show devoted to the music of Long Island's own Billy Joel. This is Piano Man on 90.3 FM, WHPC, Garden City, New York.